Welcome to the Real Estate Deep Dive with Paul D. Garrison from JP and Associate Realtors. Today we're going to be taking a look at the question, have home prices peaked? We're going to start out by taking a look at this quote from Bill McBride from Calculated Risk. It's possible that rising mortgage rates will slow the housing market, or the Fed might raise rates sooner than expected due to the recent pickup in inflation. But one thing that is certain, inventory will tell the tale. So this quote is a little old. Actually, just in the last few days, we've seen a pretty significant uptick in interest rates, which is kind of predicted here. But I do think Bill's dead on by saying inventory will tell the tale. Really, what's the future of the market's going to hold is going to be very dependent on inventory levels. And the bad news is that listings are currently at record lows. Here's a graphic that kind of gives you a good look nationally at what inventory levels are doing. Now, nationally, the average is 26.8% negative. So the key thing here is context. This is a year-over-year comparison. So nationally, we're actually 26.8% lower in December of 2021 than we were in December of 2022 as far as inventory goes. Now, at the state level, there's some interesting things to note. Idaho, which has had incredible home price appreciation, inventory is actually higher. It's 55% higher than it was in 2020. Along with Oregon, Utah, and Arizona are also in the positive levels. These have seen a lot of influx from states like California and Washington. Kentucky, Ohio, and Pennsylvania also saw positive increases in the amount of inventory. While here in Texas, we saw a drop of inventory of about 23% from year over year. So this graphic's good to kind of see what inventory has done nationally from a historical standpoint. So you can see that inventory kind of peaked back in May of 2020, right as most of the country was in lockdown, and it was rather difficult to actually go see homes or view homes. And then as things started to open back up, interest rates dropped, buyer activity increased dramatically, which helped reduce inventory even more, where we ended up hitting kind of record lows at about 1.9 for December and January, December 2020 and January of 2021. While we saw some increase in inventory through the summer kind of busy season of 2021, we really are almost back down to our low at 2.1 months of inventory available as of November of 2021. So again, that's from the national perspective. Let's take a look at kind of what our local area has done. And here are the top 4 counties in the Metroplex. And kind of you can see they're following that national trend of we did peak a little bit, but have actually kind of steadily dropped, and they're actually going back down lower than we were towards the beginning of 2021, end of 2020. So again, from a local perspective, you can see that we're actually have an even tighter supply with still strong buyer demand, which is going to help keep prices up. So if that's the case, why are people asking, have prices peaked? Well, it's because a lot of people are seeing the level of appreciation thinking that it's just not sustainable. And we're starting to see some changes in the acceleration of home prices. So let's take a look at this chart. It's basically the 3 major industry leaders that track home price appreciation. Now, there's a few key things to note here. One is that this chart actually shows the percent year over year monthly price increases for 2021. The second thing to note is that the chart starts at 10%. Now, historically, a 4 to 5% increase or price appreciation in a year is actually a good thing. But because of the record numbers we've seen, this chart actually starts out at 10% increase year over year. So you'll notice in the shaded area that all the lines start to either level off or drop a bit, pretty much either peaking or plateauing. So the key thing to understand is that this is measuring the increase over last year. So whenever you see, like, for example, the green line in CoreLogic level off at 18, that means each of those months is actually 18% higher than what that was the year before. The key thing is that even though these lines in this chart are peaking, That's actually the acceleration that is peaking. So home prices are still appreciating. They're just not appreciating as fast. So it's important to understand that while prices appreciation may be decelerating, it's not depreciating. You've heard me use this example in the past of you're speeding along at 70 miles per hour, and then you see a cop and you slow down to 40. You've decelerated, but you're still moving along at a very fast pace at 40 miles an hour. Same thing's true to home price appreciation. Home prices are still going up. They're just not going up as quickly as they have been historically. So as kind of touched on earlier, there are a lot of outside forces that could impact home prices. The latest surge in Omicron cases, the Fed's raising of interest rates, what inventory does is going to play a critical role, as we talked about it as well. With that in mind, I wanted to touch on what some of the leading analysts in the industry are forecasting for home prices in 2022. So while the average is only at 5.2%, it's still a positive appreciation. So prices aren't going down, they're just not going up as quickly, is what they're forecasting. While no one has a crystal ball and knows for sure what the future is going to hold, it is important to note that most of these analysts have actually increased the numbers of their forecasts. A lot of that's due to inventory that just hasn't materialized, and that continues to put upward pressure on pricing. That said, there is still a pretty big difference between the 18% year over year price acceleration that we've seen and dropping down to about a 5.2%. And I don't think that's going to happen overnight. I think it's going to take a little while, and there's going to have to be other factors that come into play that continue to press down on home prices. The key takeaway is that prices are forecasted to continue to increase throughout 2022 at rates well above what we'd normally see in a year, but not as crazy as what we've seen in the past year. With that, I want to leave you with this quote from CoreLogic. Mia Claire says, "So overall, I do think that 2022 will be another strong year for housing, albeit a little higher mortgage rates, and we do think home sales will continue to rise and actually reach a 16-year high in 2022. Many of the metrics and numbers in this presentation are based off of the national real estate market. However, local areas can vary. Please give me a call and we can discuss your situation. Have questions about your specific needs or location? Please contact me at 214-683-8188 or paul@pauldgarrison.com. Want more information about the housing market and related issues? Be sure and check out my blog at www.pauldgarrison.com. Thank you for your time. Please take a moment to visit our website at www.pauldgarrison.com.